let's just start it.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna start.
All right, beautiful. This one we're just gonna start with fucking, JD Vance style. Let's we're gonna have no sunglasses because we're gonna be talking to the people.
You're gonna talk straight to the eyes of America or the
Eyes of America.
eyes of Canadians.
I just want to go over the Trump thing real quick.
Sure. We'll probably go on it every week for the next 2 years. So fuck it.
Listen, we were talking about this when I was cutting your hair. Showcase your hair real quick because it's beautiful right now. Look at that, guys. Do a turnaround. Take those off. Oh my God, this man is fucking. Just marry this man, Sabrina. Just get it over with already.
He's a new man.
Yeah, dude. This look, Hector. Honestly, best look you've ever had.
It is up there for looks.
Best look you've ever had.
It is up there.
Because when you were a kid and you didn't have a mustache, something didn't look complete.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying the nose was excessive.
I think, on all honesty, I had maybe 2 or 3 really good looks as far as hair goes. So this is obviously up there. And at one point when I had a full head of hair, and it was just starting to thin, like where if you were someone who was balding or formerly bald, and you'd have to look at my crown, you could kind of tell. But at that point, I started actually going to barbers, like guys more than just like Steve's barbershop down the street, get a simple whatever.
Professional.
That was like the one time that I had like a nice haircut. I remember it was like the first time I ever got a proper fade, and I actually had hair that you could do it. Yeah, and then that was it.
Yeah,
that was the one time.
So this whole time you've been trying to get me to fight this battle of giving you a fade when you don't even have enough hair.
Listen, you faded me.
Set me up, bro.
You faded me today with you did the skin fade on me, so fuck it. You still did a fade today.
So we're talking while I was giving you a haircut, and your notion from the very beginning is all these politicians obviously have an end game for themselves.
They have an interest.
Yeah, they have an interest in mind, which is fair. I also believe in that. I 100% agree with that. It's idiotic to disagree with that point, because at point of power, everybody will have a point of interest if you have the line to get that power. However, we've never actually set these types of people in these positions ever before.
We did 2016 for Trump's first term.
No. But he just picked from people that he was getting advice from. Have you ever watched the Joe Rogan podcast with him?
No.
He actually said, he's like, I had no idea what I was doing. They literally got me into a meeting board and literally dropped like 16 hours of information on me right away. He's like, I had no idea who I'm supposed to hire, who's qualified, who isn't. So I basically listened to the wrong people. He's like, this time around, I have some experience. He's like, Joe, look at it this way. Imagine Putin.
Wait, you got to say it like him though. Joe.
He was basically saying that this time around he has more of a well-rounded game this time, and he knows who to approach, who is fighting those battles in those circles anyway. For example, environmental battles, vaccine battles, food regulation battles, technology regulation battles, spyware, all these things. He says, I've met the best this far. And to his point, I kind of believe him that he's met more people and networked more. How much of that is going to actually show on paper, I'm interested to find out. However, putting Elon and Vivek on, what did you say they put him on?
It's called DOGE.
The
Department of Governmental Efficiency.
Not bad. I think Vivek...
Pretty bad.
But I think Vivek and like Elon went to Twitter, bought it, dropped a bunch of employees, has it running right now with pretty much free speech. Yes, when you go on there, there's gunfire and shit and people dying, literally. You literally see people getting stabbed. But I'd much rather have that and have the kids not on there because it's obviously not for them, than have something that is clearly getting sabotaged by the FBI or CIA. They're clearly going overhead and basically going against any doctors that go against the main criteria of what was happening with coronavirus. If anybody opposed that, they would get shut down, which essentially is what happened with Twitter. They were literally getting told by the CIA, FBI, hey, shut this person down because it's not going against the actual quota of what we were trying to implement.
They were trying to fact check is what it was. Now, if you want to say that, there's some FBI or CIA insiders that had some reason to shut it down because it went against the government, okay, sure. That's a pretty high claim. Like that's up there as far as like.
Well, they were saying in the Supreme Court exactly. It's like, why did you shut down? They were literally talking to software engineers and saying, why did you shut down this person's account? Because they are a doctor and you are not. And I don't know if you ever seen these Supreme Court.
It wasn't Supreme Court. It was a congressional hearing. So those are two very different things.
Sure.
Not close, right? So congressional hearings are interesting because you'll have one person that runs it, and they're a congressman. They're not in justice. They're not nothing like that. So you will have a congressman or woman who's leading the hearing, and then you'll have a bunch of congressmen who are also up on that like stage or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And they're just asking. They're deposing. They're basically they're deposing a person, whoever that they've called. So Zuckerberg was on this. The Twitter guy was on this. TikTok wasn't like
Right.
a lot of people. And honestly, a lot of times like people don't hear about these things because sometimes they're really boring. They're about like some fucking shipping company. Like, who cares? Like no one, whatever. But yes, not the same as the Supreme Court. So no one's on trial. Like when this happens, literally, it's an informational hearing.
Yeah, it's informative.
That's all that it is.
Yeah, there's no criminal cases against it.
Not at all, and they're not asking you questions like you would be in a court of law because there's also no requirement to have to answer certain questions. Like that's where you can actually invoke the Fifth Amendment. Right. That's where you can say I don't want to answer it because I don't want to credit. I don't want to credit. That's the only place you can do that. You can't do that in court because it's like motherfucker, you're here in court.
Exactly.
Right.
But I firmly believe that this will be interesting. Whatever it turns out to be, it will be the interesting aspect. But I think in our lifetime, why this is important is because we might not ever get a chance like this. Or we might. But for the time being, 30 years, I actually haven't seen anything where extremely qualified, in my opinion, candidates with good intentions are at heads of states when it comes to certain divisions of the government. It seems that if it's going to work thus far, this is the time that it would work, and this is the time to make people believe that it's going to work by actually operating as such in your promises. They also have a really good, pretty strict border czar. You ever seen this fucking guy? Okay, so
border czar. That's what they're calling Kamala.
Yeah, but now they're calling this human Homan.
Okay.
Matt Homan, I believe.
Matt Homan rings a bell.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. Very, very interesting guy. Basically started as a police officer and kind of went up from there. And his notion is that we are going to deport anybody who's illegal and any family members that are also illegal instantly, like as soon as possible. It's interesting because I would want to see what happens to the United States economy when you do deport these illegals, because I imagine a certain portion of them are effective in the economy.
This whole thing is ridiculous. Oh, man, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I do understand, but I also don't understand when people kind of like, come up with this like rhetoric where like, oh, okay, we're just gonna like deport all the illegals and stuff. It's like, okay, but like, you're just trying to distract people from like what the real problem is here. Like, this doesn't stop any problems at all, because people have been immigrating illegally into the U.S. for decades, for many reasons.
Right.
Promise of a better life, a fucked up situation where they're from and they have to, or like their families, or whatever the reason is. Like, people have been illegally immigrating for a long time. And sure, are there like bad people, bad apples, bad actors? 100%. But are there good people in there? Yeah. So like, how does this help the problem of people trying to get into the country legally? The real problem is that people are not able to be processed in due time to actually enter the United States.
Yeah.
There's a huge backlog of people who've been applying, good people that want to like provide to the country that haven't been able to get through. And sometimes people just can't wait. So they're like, fuck it, I'll just enter and then I'll deal with the consequences later.
Yeah.
So that should be the focus, is like, let's try and fucking help that problem so people can actually come in legally instead of just like throwing people out, because they're just going to keep coming back in. Yeah.
I think what he was trying to say is if you're not coming through the port of entry legally, even if you're seeking asylum, you're going to get deported, which was not a case before.
No, the asylum thing, that's different. But you know what's crazy is that like the amount of deportations, well, the highest it's ever been was under Biden. So that's not a solution to the problem here, because if it was, that would have helped. But that's not helping.
Yeah.
So this whole like putting people in like fucking in those centers by the border to like then just throw them back out, or to try and corral people who are already living in the United States and then throw them back out. It's like I don't see that. I don't see how that helps.
Yeah, we got to kind of see how it plays out. But yeah, I imagine improving the process and having illegal aliens not come through any other way other than the port of entry. But you have to make the port of entry an efficient process instead of making people wait pretty much years sometimes. That being said, though, this aspect of no asylum seeking is huge, because when I was in prison, everybody was seeking asylum, because the visas that you get to the United States by foreigners all have a clause that if you've done any criminal, even a misdemeanor, you are then basically your visa means nothing at that point. That's when the suspect or the person they seek asylum. But if they don't have that, it's not even an option. You don't have all these prisons where you have, you know, federal prisons holding
Yeah.
asylum seeking people with crazy criminals. Because that's what happened to me at that point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Crazy criminals and then asylum seekers. And then, you know, those asylum seekers, a lot of them, you know, I don't know if you know, 15 years trying to seek asylum in prison, this guy. You know, that's not odd. 6 years, 7 years, it's not odd. You'll see a lot of those guys where it's like 7 years of trying to seek asylum. If you have this law, all those people are getting shipped tomorrow, figuratively, but much sooner than they don't even have a case anymore. That might be beneficial by not housing all these extra people, because I would imagine there'd be millions of
There's probably
asylum
quite a few.
seekers.
I would imagine this. I don't think it's millions, but it's up there. It's quite high for sure.
I would say there's a lot of money that's going into that, to having that system there. But if you have a rule where you no longer have asylums, all that money has to go somewhere else, is my point. And if they're actually operating within, you know, honorable, you know, government system where they're not just putting it in their fucking pockets like Trudeau of the We Foundation and his family, I mean, that should kind of circle back to the people or somewhere efficiently. Now, the government is the government, and this shit rarely happens. But as somebody
Back to the people,
as somebody who is, you know, interested in seeing what happens, another rule that Trump said is he wants to have no taxation on overtime. Did you hear this?
no.
So he wants to change all overtime work to zero tax,
Interesting.
which is, again, enough money that would make a difference. And it makes it in a way where a worker is basically pushed to doing overtime because, hey, if I do overtime, right, all that money goes straight to my pocket, not the government.
You also incentivize the businesses to shorten shifts in an effort to get people who want more overtime as a regular.
That's fine.
And then those businesses will no longer funnel those taxes to the government. So that's an issue for the government.
Sure,
So
but
that's pretty interesting because, like, imagine you have a workforce that gives you a rough, call it like $5 million worth of payroll to tax.
yep. Now you
If
have
you
less.
reduce that by 30%, even 40%, now you're less 2 million. Multiply that by that's heavy. I wonder what that'll do to I don't know. That's interesting.
And then he has a proposition to have more tariffs on certain things, which
That's fucking garbage.
we'll see how that rolls around. But apparently Canada has, I've kind of looked into it, but not enough to like
I'll send you a video
state which tariffs. But apparently Canada has a lot of tariffs on the states, which is interesting.
I'll send you a video that talks about tariffs and how they're just like absolute garbage. They're just so stupid.
They
don't
can you
provide-
slowly go into like what aspect are they
They
absolute garbage?
don't bring any benefit to the people, to consumers.
Right,
They
it's just straight government to government.
They only provide a benefit, government to government, and it only hurts
G2G,
consumers.
bro.
It only hurts consumers. So, like, the last example of a tariff that I think Trump put in, or Biden, I forget which one of these, but it's pretty recent, was washing machines.
Okay.
So washing machines that were imported started getting a tariff on them. So obviously the price of those goes up.
Right.
That has two consequences. One, those companies that are affected by those tariffs will open up factories in the States so that they can now be making them domestic.
Right.
Same reason you have Toyota that makes cars and say, you know what I mean? Like for that reason. You make them, if you make them domestically, it doesn't matter where your company's based from. That's domestic.
Positive loop.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're no longer, right?
Right.
The issue with that is price-wise to the consumer, it only hurts because if you have a situation where you have 5 competitors that are selling something at roughly $5,000 each within plus or minus $100,
Right.
you get one competitor that gets fucked with a 20% tariff.
Right.
Now they're charging like $6,000 or whatever. What do you think those other companies are going to do? Like, you think they're just going to keep their prices?
So they're going to raise everything.
Exactly.
Everything's going to get raised.
Exactly, because they're like, that competitor's fucked because they're paying a tariff that they have to pay. So they're at 6,000 and they can't reduce, which means we have the free will to just fill that hole.
Right.
And now we all sell at 6,000.
I think the key point is the hope that these companies then come on, local land, build, and have workers, local workers, built making extra jobs. I think that's the positive loop that people are trying to look for.
But then, even if you build domestic, you're going to keep your price at 6,000. Even if you're able to. So the only benefit here is to the company if they make that pivot and now they build locally. Because now they're like, okay, now we save some money because we're not paying the tariff or whatever. So our margins get higher, but we're going to keep that same $6,000. It's a pipe dream if you think that a company's going to be like, okay, we sold at 6, And now we got rid of the reason of why we had to sell at 6. Let's sell lower. No, they're just going to keep the 6 and take the
No,
margin
supply and demand is going to be supply and demand. But I don't think anybody's going to feel sorry for the workforce for buying and be like, hey, I'm going to lower my prices 2,000 because now my overhead's lower. Like, I don't think any company's thinking this way.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just stays
I
at that
100%,
elevated price.
I 100% agree.
And consumers just get fucked.
But better than nothing.
No, that is actually worse than nothing. What are you saying?
But what I'm saying is, if they do come on local land, it's better than nothing.
It is honestly worse than nothing because the overall impact to the economy is a lot worse than that benefit that you have to that one town. Because that's all you're doing. You're just having a benefit to the town that has the factory in place, and plus whatever vendors are supplying them their material, which might not even be local vendors, because there's no rule in place where when you make your product, everything has to be sourced locally.
Mm-hmm.
If you make that rule, then now it becomes even fucked because now your material costs go through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying like, oh, I can't buy microchips locally, now I have to buy them from China, or else I get like hit on it. Okay, but now the cost in China for a chip is like 20 cents. The cost in the States for the same thing is $1. That's 5 times my cost, times like however many units I'm making. Like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing?
The market will change. I agree with that. But because the market will change, the consumer will outsource always. The consumer is not, nobody's holding a gun to my head being like, you have to buy this chip because now the tariff's gone up, you got to buy it. No, I'll outsource to something else.
But that's what I'm saying. Those competitors will just match the price. They will go up.
Sometimes not.
Always. Because why would you leave money on the table as a business? If you're leaving money on the table, you're not a good business.
But these guys don't have the same tariffs. For example, if I'm buying straight from the source in Bangladesh and it's getting shipped to Singapore and then they're driving it over from the US or whatever, there's ways to get beyond these tariffs. In certain buys.
You think. For certain things, maybe, but for a lot of these, like cars, like if you want to buy a German car, there's only a couple ways to do it. There's only a few
you have
German
to make
brands.
your peace with that.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you want to buy, like I said, the washing machine is a good example because there's only like 5 fucking companies you're gonna buy. You're not gonna buy from some random fucking Saudi Arabian company. Like you know what I mean? Like there's only a few places. You go to the store.
I mean, I will.
You're gonna buy what you find in store. You're not gonna import a fucking washer from a fucking another country. You're gonna
Persians import rugs.
You're gonna go to Best Buy and buy what the fuck is there. So same thing with like the market. It's like you're gonna go to the market and buy what's there. So at the end of the day, yeah, tariffs are a net negative for consumers. If they're a benefit to other areas of the government or businesses, okay, fine. But generally speaking, it's not a good deal for us as people.
My only pushback to this is other countries do this shit to us all the time. And why not?
And that is how tariffs actually start because they're usually reciprocal.
Yeah.
You get a tariff and then you send a tariff back.
Yeah. But with good networking, we could all push back tariffs. I think that'd be the ultimate move by Trump would be like, hey, let me sit down with these big production companies and push back tariffs.
That'd be interesting, but he wants to do the opposite. He wants to put tariffs in place.
Yeah, I think that's
them.
where his business mind comes in, and that's probably going to go direct to him somehow, or powering his his league of whatever. But I think if he was actually for the people, he would obviously bring down tariffs. But I don't think he would have enough time to talk to enough, world powers to lower tariffs. This is the thing. Yeah. But again, moving on. Let's pivot a little bit we'll come back to the Trump stuff a little bit near the end, but if you want. But let's move to Tyson and Jake Paul.
Jakey. It's actually happening. What a surprise, because when was it supposed to happen? August?
Bro.
No, not that, but like the most recent one was August.
Like August or something, yeah.
And then it was October, and then I was like, oh shit, it's not happening.
Then a lot of people were like, yeah, like he's not going to get in the ring, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see.
Here we are.
The 16th, bro. 16th is happening.
Well, yeah. No, it's tomorrow. It's Friday.
Is it tomorrow or is it? I thought
16th is Bones. Bones and Miocic.
Right. Can you leave your cameras here for that?
Maybe.
Because what are you doing with them this weekend?
I might need the big one. Small one I could lend you. Big one I might need.
Damn it. Anyway, long story short, there's been a little bit of a change in character. I think the scariest version, I want you to tell me the scariest version of Mike Tyson you think is the scariest.
What do you mean? Okay, sure.
And then I'll tell you.
The scariest version of Tyson, I would say when he was 820.
No. But now, like, how would he act where you'd be like, holy fuck?
Act? Like as a person or in the ring?
Regardless, just before the fight.
If he was just like unhinged, I'd be like, this is kind of scary.
Unhinged, like loud.
Yeah, like loud, not just loud, but just like unpredictable, chaotic, like that sort of stuff. I would say it'd be probably the scariest version of Tyson. But, all right.
I would oppose you.
You'd be like,
I would
super
say
quiet.
the scariest version of Mike Tyson I've seen is like when he's a man of like 5 words.
To be fair, on some of his walkouts, I do remember that. Like the old school walkouts where he just had a terry cloth shirt on.
Yeah.
Said nothing. That was pretty scary.
And that's the latest one I watched. Is like,
oh shit,
Jakey P is just saying some nonsense.
And then
Tyson just like
nothing.
I'll see you Saturday. And then he's just like, damn.
Shit.
It's wild.
But okay, now here's the conspiracy theory person in me speaking. What stipulations do you think there are in the fight? Like, do you think there are any? Do you think this is just a regular sanctioned boxing match with the only rules they got to follow are the unified rules of boxing and fuck it? Or are we talking about Tyson can't knock down Jake Paul? Tyson's got to go to 80% or like whatever, like can't cut him, or he has to take a knee at some point. Like, do you think there's any of that in the fight contract?
No. I
Do
would
you really think Tyson's allowed to go 100%, treat Jake Paul as if he's like the world champ? And
Yes.
Tyson's trying to get the belt. Do you really
yes,
think it's
the
like
reason
that?
I say that, yes, is because Tyson's 58, bro. I don't think he can hit as hard as he used to at all, even remotely close, or take a shot. So if JKP is writing that in a contract, it'd be like, it wouldn't even be a dub if he won. And people found out, it wouldn't really be a dub. It's like, you can't really go 100%. Because that's what we found out with the Roy Jones fight. It's like, this was supposed to be exhibition. But we found out, like, last minute. So we will find out last minute what this is about. And if when we do find out, because Jake Paul hasn't actually had a fight where it was like, oh, you can't do that.
Well, we've never found out. People speculated, but
he lost to Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
Well, then no.
But he's had exhibition fights, and in those exhibitions, we don't know the contract because it's.
I understand
it's
that, but that Tommy Fury one wasn't it was an exhibition.
No, that was wasn't that a pro fight? Just
no,
like a regular pro
I
fight?
imagine those are all because Tommy Fury's way ahead of Jake Paul, bro. It wouldn't be a good pro fight for him.
Let's find out.
Yeah, no fucking way, bro. If it is, I'd be shocked.
Okay, let's see. Professional. Jake Paul has had 11 professional fights.
What versus who?
Oh wait, hold on a second.
I imagine that the Tyson fight would be a pro fight, no?
Dude, all his fights going back. Okay, so Mike Perry, that was a pro fight.
Okay.
Ryland Borland,
Pro
Andre August, pro fight. The thing is, it has it under his professional record, right? So even like the Nate Diaz was a pro fight. Tommy Fury, pro fight. Anderson Silva, pro fight.
So if it's a pro fight, so this is the
that's what's confusing because I think all that means is it's sanctioned.
Yeah, so this is a differentiation. If it's sanctioned, I think they'd go at it.
Yeah, see, that's fuck.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, these were all.
Because if Tyson gets knocked out, bro, that's like, I don't give a fuck what people are saying. He's 58, whatever. It's like, if you let yourself get fucked up after decades of having this aura, you're no longer Tyson anymore. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. That's why everyone's got eyes on this fight, right? Because everyone's always joked about with their friends, like, yo, what if me and Tyson got in the ring, man? I'd be fucking scared, or whatever, right? Everyone's just talked about this. Like when you're shooting shit with the boys, they'll be like, yo, who would you hate to be in a ring with? Man, fucking Mike Tyson.
Prime Tyson.
And here we are. Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. Even like current Tyson, it's like, really, like, okay, cool, he's 58, but this isn't like your 58-year-old dad from like a fucking Tybo fighting down the street. We're talking like Mike Tyson at 58. This is not the same people.
Yeah, but like, okay, I'll give you an example. How old is Jocko Willink?
Jocko Willink, I think he's around that age. I think he's mid to late 50s.
I would be much more scared going against Jocko Willink than Mike Tyson.
Why?
In a street fight.
Okay, why?
Jocko is amazing on the ground. He's an actual tactician on the ground, and he has enough Muay Thai and kickboxing experience that he would have kicks in my fucking face. Mike Tyson, amazing with his hands. Nothing else. Much scarier when a guy has more tools.
Interesting.
You wouldn't say so?
No, I wouldn't.
Jocko Willink is also, I'll give you another reason. Jocko Willink is much bigger. Much bigger. Jocko Willink is probably
He's taller, for sure.
6'2",
Yeah.
240.
What's Tyson weighing out these days? He's like
200, 5'9".
5'9"? He's not 5'9".
No, Mike Tyson is like
What,
5'9",
shrunk
5'10".
2 inches?
No, but 5'9", 5'10".
He was like 5'11", wasn't he?
No, I say Mike Tyson's 5'9", 5'10".
Let's find out.
And if he's 5'11" in his prime, I guarantee he's 5'10" or 5'9.5" right now.
5'10".
Yeah, so
5'10".
So we give an inch to age. I would say he's now look up Jocko Willink.
Let's see. Jocko.
Is he a Navy SEAL, Green Beret?
SEAL. His whole
Yeah.
thing is about being a SEAL.
Yeah, but he's a dev guru fuck.
No,
So
not Dev Guru. Just that's what SEAL Team 6 is.
dude,
It's the
those
same
guys are
thing.
dev
They changed
gurus.
it. No, yeah, I know, but it's the same thing, man.
Yeah, but those guys are fucking insane.
No,
dude.
they're not.
Yeah,
They're
they
not.
are, dude.
Have you ever seen Sean Strickland go up against a fucking? He called out Navy SEAL. He's like, "Yo, get in the ring with me." And one guy actually did.
No.
You seen
Get
this
in
video?
the ring, sure. But, dude, you take Sean Strickland, you put him in Iraq, he's not going to act the same.
Well, no shit, dude. These guys are operators.
I
bruh.
understand,
They can
but,
like
dude,
nail
this guy-
nail you from 1,000 yards.
Okay,
Dead shot in the
so
head.
one guy
That's
is
not the same.
One guy is trained. So you're telling me that you're more scared of Sean Strickland than a Navy fucking SEAL who's a dev guru who teaches other Navy SEAls?
In what context? Like
any context.
what?
You
No.
know, this is why. I'll give
Because
you an
context
example.
in
Why.
a bar fight, I'm more scared of Sean Strickland.
Uh,
Anywhere else? Yeah,
I think-
okay.
I
I'm
think-
fucking worried because like who knows? This guy's gonna have like some knives in his fucking
Sure.
gonna do me some like
Yeah.
fucking some crazy shit. Okay, fine.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I'm scared for my life at that point.
I'll give you an example. I think you would have a different fear if you actually sparred people and got beat up. And I'll say this why. Because back in the day, I didn't really spar people, right? So I didn't know how good people were, right? And of recent, I've been going like last, I would say, year or so, I've been sparring people. And there has been some really good people I sparred. And they've gone like 70% on me.
Yeah.
It's not scary getting beat up. Like I've been tagged. I'm not the best or anything like that. So I've been tagged by guys who are like 240, 6'2", and he's tagged me with a leg kick and I stumbled. It's not, I'm not fearing my life. But a guy who has the ability to kill you is a little bit different in my eyes than a guy who has the ability to beat you up. Because
Okay, so
you do
hold on.
train, hold on, let me
Yeah,
finish. You do train with a lot of people that can beat you up. And that's something that's very common. So if you go to the gym, right, and you get to a point where the instructor or the owner of the gym invites you to sparring sessions with the guys who are like the competing team. So you just spar them, you know,
Yeah.
most of the time you're going like 30, 40%. You're not really hurting anybody, but sometimes you're like, hey, like Abdul, let's go 70%. And you see how good he is. And he's like 40 pounds, everything. It's not scary because you train with that guy. You see that guy every day. That Navy SEAL who can hit like 20 out of 20 fucking shots, been on the tactical team for a decade. I'm a lot more scared in most situations of that guy than Sean Strickland. That's my personal opinion. And I don't think you're wrong for thinking the other way around. I just think it'll be more common for you if you did train with guys like that all the time. Like 3 days a week, 10 guys that can beat you up. And it's not a fear anymore because you see them daily.
Yeah.
Or you see them weekly. So it's more common. But when do we hang out with Navy SEAL and SWAT team? I have one friend who's a SWAT team guy.
That's the thing, man. The thing with those guys, like the operator types, what they have on and almost all these MMA guys is the aura. So that's what you're speaking to, because you're not speaking to their physical abilities, because these guys are operating in environments that are completely unknown to us, right? They have to, whether they're launching from a ship or they're launching from a helicopter or whatever, they got to carry like 40-pound packs up a fucking mountain, and then they got to like drop in on a dime and clear out a room and like literally kill people. That's not an environment that you're going to be exposed to. So there's two things that happen. One, you don't know what it's like. So there's like this imagination that you have to be like, okay, I might be like worried about
Smile,
this or not.
nigga.
And then the other thing is you don't know what those people are capable of, because it's all bound in secrecy. Like when you look at these SEAL, the reason the SEAL Team 6 guys do so well after their careers, if they decide to get into media, is because people are so curious about what these guys actually do. They'll hear stories about like training, but then those same SEAL Team 6 guys will be like, you know what, training was fucking like a walk in the park. It was like, if I could do training for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. Training was like nothing compared to what I had to do in the field. So people are like, holy fuck, training's pretty crazy already. Well, I wonder what their fucking career and their life is like. And it's pretty fucking nuts. But we're not talking about being in those environments. Like, yeah, dude, Sean Strickland would not survive in Iraq if you just dropped him in. He would probably die within 2 seconds because he doesn't know what fucking military cover is. He doesn't know what tactics are. He'll probably just like jump in a room and then he's fucked. He's dead.
Right.
But we're talking about like a physical encounter with these guys, right? Like a straight up, no weapons, just a fucking hands and feet. What's gonna happen? And in those situations, all the advanced moves and tactical things, they don't work in your favor, because once you strip all of that away, you're not gonna come up with something like crazy, because like you said, you've been sparring. Like what, a guy's gonna like poke your eye or like hit you, like lock your joints? Like none of that stuff's really gonna happen, right? Like a fight starts out on the feet and eventually either gets to the ground or you're grappling. Those are the really two ways that like bar fights happen.
Okay.
People get close and they start like pounding on each other. That's
right.
Like this whole idea of, because bro, I love this shit, because I used to watch these movies like, oh fuck man, that guy took out like 5 guys and like whatever, and these crazy old military moves, whatever. But that shit doesn't tend to really happen in real life. At the end of the day, when 2 guys square up, they're gonna do what they're most comfortable with. Smack a guy, get him on the ground and choke him out, or whatever. And what's interesting, what I heard you say about the whole like when you're getting beat up by these guys and you know you're like used to it, I think to myself, that's sparring. But the same moves that these SEAL guys would kill you with their bare hands are the same moves that these guys in sparring, if they took it too far, could also kill you with. Like in a choke, if they didn't let go, you'll literally just choke to death.
There's a distinction
you're
that
dead,
you
right?
There's a distinction. I don't want to attack your argument, but there's a distinction that you put that I wouldn't put. You idealistically said that if both situations, these people don't have weapons. Most SEAL guys have weapons at all times.
No, but that's not the context in which I answered your question originally, where you're like, what are you more scared of, Sean Strickland or a SEAL guy? And in my head, I'm like, I'm not thinking.
Fair enough.
Right?
No, that's fine.
Bro, at the end of the day, if a guy's fully armed with all his weapons, okay, I'll do whatever he says.
Yeah.
I'm getting on my knees and sucking that cock if he needs me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like if a guy's got a knife or a gun and he's a fucking operator, yo, whatever you want, I'll do.
Fair enough.
That's not the context that I answered.
All I'm saying
That's
is
all.
maybe that would change your words, but when I think of SEAL guys and I think of Sean Strickland or an MMA guy, most MMA guys I've hung out with or anything, they don't really carry weapons on them.
No, not
Generally
at all. Yeah.
There's my only account of knowing anybody that's highly trained is one of my friends I went to Clarning with.
Yeah.
And he's armed, not with guns, but like
He's
always armed.
Something. Yeah.
That is probably why you didn't think about it in that aspect, and I fear them more.
Well, the reason I also answered it in that way was because I had that video in my head of Sean actually sparring a SEAL guy, like an active SEAL member. Yeah. And so that's why I had that in my head, because these guys, they have their mitts on, they're doing whatever. Yeah. And the guy hung in there, actually. It's actually kind of a cool video because he didn't go down. Right. He was there for I think they did 3 rounds, 3x3s. And he didn't get knocked out. He didn't quit. He stayed there the whole time because Sean Strickland's whole thing for a while was, I mean, he's a fucking loudmouth guy. So he was on social media just being like, I challenge any SEAL guy to, I think this was after Goggins. Goggins was saying some shit or whatever. And so Sean went back and he's like, I challenge any Navy SEAL guy to come in the ring with me and not quit. That was the whole thing. Just not quit. Stay there the whole time and don't tap out or just don't give up. And one guy actually did. He stayed the full length. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, he's not a world champion MMA fighter. So obviously he got, cleaned up. Now, something interesting. How tall did you say Jocko is?
I think 6'2", I believe.
5'10".
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1.8. But people have sparred with this guy and been like, I estimate him to be from 5'9" to 5'10", roughly. But
Okay.
he that's the thing with the aura. It projects. He projects an image of more than that, right?
Yeah,
I've seen the guy talk. He's a fucking great. He's
a
the
great
type of guy
talker.
that you want. If recruiters needed somebody, they'd use this guy for sure.
Yeah.
But he's doing well for himself that he'd never need to work for the government again.
Yeah. The last aspect I want to say is how many people do you think are going to come out? Rough number. What this P. Diddy thing? Rough number.
Damn, dude, I didn't even think about that. Why? Oh, I guess I was gonna say the election. I was gonna say why has it been quiet on that front for a while?
Election.
Two, yeah. One's election and one's a court hearing. It's pushed to March or something. Or I don't know when it is. So we'll hear more then. But oh man, people. I think what's gonna happen is, and we've seen it before. You're gonna have people that get named in the case, just named, and then people who are actually gonna be tied to crimes. And I think those numbers are gonna be vastly different. We're gonna see some really high level A-list celebrities named in the case. They were at these parties, but as far as prosecutable evidence to tie them to actual crimes, the lawyers are going to realize that number has to be a lot smaller. Even if it actually did happen, they don't have the evidence to prove certain crimes happened, so they won't be able to go after these people.
Right.
Because their lawyers, if tomorrow fucking, if Brad Pitt gets, you know what I mean? He's going to pay a lawyer $5 million to be yo, just get me out of this. I might have been there, but there's not enough evidence, just fucking clear my name. There's going to be a lot of those situations, I think, where these celebs are just not going to be attached to crimes. I would say maybe if we get 10 people attached to crimes, that'd be a fucking bombshell, I think. But you're going to see honestly dozens of people named on for sure.
Yeah. One last thing on Trump. Did you know he paid did you know Kamala paid Oprah $1 million to get endorsed?
She paid Oprah?
Yeah, so basically there was $20 million of endorsements that Kamala Harris's party gave to celebrities. Megan Stallion, all that shit. Those all paid endorsements.
You know what's funny? There's no regulations on that at all.
That's crazy.
There's no regulations on
you
you paying people to endorse you, and there's no regulations on how much you can receive in donations. Because Elon put in a fat chunk. He signed a fat check, a fatty check, multi-billion. No, not multi-billion. That'd be, but it was it's up there. It might have actually been close to the 100 mil range, which is crazy as a check to just write, be this is to support your campaign kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's fucking.
The other aspect that Elon is basically against this whole, he calls it a woke virus.
I've heard that, yeah.
And this I think it was in the last 3 years, in my mind, trans people went from let them do whatever the fuck they want to okay, but you don't got to tell me what you want to do.
Yeah, I think it became
You know what I mean?
from wanting to just be okay, let's exist. Because that's what it should be. I personally believe, okay, exist.
Exist.
Just exist.
Just exist.
And then it became now I need to also believe that what you're doing is right for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
that,
that's
that was the line that got crossed
Yeah.
for a lot of people. Because a lot of people are actually tolerant. If you talk to them, they're literally tolerant. They're I will tolerate your nonsense. I think it's nonsense, but I'm going to tolerate it because I just think that's the right thing to do. But if you then tell people, no, now you don't have to tolerate it. Now you also have to like it. It's like, okay, well, hold on,
Yeah,
hold on,
it's
buddy.
too much.
Like, yeah,
It's a little much.
you're telling me that I have to limit my religious beliefs because it's imposed, like it's not right to impose those things onto you.
Yeah.
Like I can't impose you being a Muslim or you being a Christian or whatever because that's what I believe in. But now you're telling me that I need to believe what you're telling me about this, your identity on gender and like all these other things.
I don't have
incorrect.
to believe your beliefs.
That's
I
the
just
thing.
have to be able to live among you.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think people went way too far where they're like, okay, we're okay with canceling religion,
Yeah.
but now we want to make sure that our beliefs are imposed on you, and that's when people really like. I think
Yeah.
that was the line that got
Because
crossed.
if you take away the subject of
yes,
trans and you put any other subject
Yeah.
and you say
you need
not
to believe
only
this.
do you have to accept me, but you have to believe my belief.
Yeah.
Everybody would say no.
and you have to like it.
And you have to like it. And that's an aspect of thinking that is ridiculous if you put any other subject matter in front of trans.
Yes.
But just because it's trans, now we have to not oppose it. And then if we oppose it, now we're transphobic, which it's like it's a negative loop that they've made in an argument so that they don't have to argue it.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it is.
I think that was the biggest one. Is I had this conversation actually this weekend. I was at a dinner with my dad's friends. Like there was like a big like family thing at an apartment, and most of the people there were actually older. They were like I would say like from late 40s all the way to like early 60s, mid 60s.
Right.
So these were like middle-aged people. Some of them actually worked in public institutions, whether it's hospitals. One of the ladies worked at a school, like a public school. And then the topic of what we're talking about basically came up. And one of the conclusions was this whole notion of forcing people to like what you're putting out really comes from the government just not wanting to upset anyone, not wanting to make a decision or have an actual opinion about anything, and wanting to appease everybody. Because when you try and appease everybody, you really appease nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not realistic to be like, yeah, we're gonna make everybody happy, and now we're not gonna do shit. Because now you make the other people pissed off even more, which is kind of like what you're just saying. And so we'll see what happens.
You got any codes, bro?
Any codes or any quotes?
Both codes, quotes.
I haven't coded in a while, which means I haven't coded ever. But as far as quotes go, never believe that what you've made is a mistake. Simply work towards being better. What do you got?
A winner is just a loser who tried one more time.
Nice one.
All right, bro. We're out.
Nice.
Peace.